Hello to all my friends attending the Expanding Horizons Seminar and Conference. I think you know I would much rather be there with you in person, but there's just a few things going on in Washington right now, and I'm honored to join you via video. Perhaps this event should be called Expanding Horizons Take 2. I'm certainly glad you got the chance to reschedule it. You got your conference, and I know that shutdown was a complete hassle. It cost our economy billions of dollars. I was part of one of the groups that worked to end it with some solutions, and out of all of it, there was one silver lining. We actually got a budget. So at least for the rest of this year and into the next, we won't be careening from fiscal crisis to fiscal crisis. This workshop is an important opportunity for Minnesota's small businesses to learn how to gain entry into new markets by working with the Overseas Private Investment Corporation, the Small Business Administration, and the Department of Commerce. This partnership will help you grow your businesses and move our economy forward. I know that as more and more U.S. small businesses engage in the global marketplace, which you must do, you face new questions and unique challenges. Lack of access to affordable capital and complex rules and regulations can prevent small companies like yours from expanding into new markets. I can't tell you how many times I've heard when I visited all 87 counties every year from small businesses that I tour about how, we wanted to export to this country, but we didn't know we had to get this kind of permission. Or we put in the right application and it took so long in the bureaucracy, and then the business went to a company from Germany or a company from France. Over and over again, I hear those stories. That's why OPIC is so important. It plays an important role in keeping U.S. businesses, helping them to gain footholds in emerging markets. Since its inception, OPIC has committed nearly $481 million in financing and insurance to Minnesota companies alone, supporting more than 7,100 local jobs and $1.1 billion in exports in the state. All of this with no cost to the taxpayers. I'd say that's some serious bang for your buck. My best ideas for policies come from the people of our state. We're a state that thinks, that invents, and that makes things. Small and medium-sized businesses like yours are a big part of the reason why our state's unemployment rate is nearly 2 points better than the national average. I thank you for all the work you do. It's no secret that the last few years have been challenging. Following almost unprecedented contractions caused by the financial crisis, I fought for smart policies to make sure you have the tools you need to grow and expand. We passed legislation that put more capital in the hands of small businesses and startups by increasing loan limits for programs at the Small Business Administration. In 2013, the SBA's flagship loans program supported almost 46,000 businesses. And we worked to cut red tape at the SEC, changing our laws to make it easier for businesses to attract investors. Right now, I'm working to help bolster cross-border investment. I introduced the Global Investment in American Jobs Act with Senator Bob Corker, Republican of Tennessee. This bill tasks the Department of Commerce with assessing U.S. competitiveness for attracting foreign direct investment and making recommendations to ensure that our laws, regs, and policies give companies confidence to create American jobs. As Senate Chair of the Joint Economic Committee, my #1 priority is to focus on policies that help boost innovation, exports, and strengthen our economy. This means balanced bipartisan solutions to deficit reduction that put our country on sound fiscal footing without stifling growth or causing any more shutdowns. That means cutting unnecessary red tape at our regulatory agencies to ensure we're protecting consumers with clarity and consistency. That means comprehensive tax reforms that gives families and businesses the certainty they need, bringing down some of those tax rates, but paying for it by closing some of the loopholes. We also need to ramp up our exports so that businesses both big and small can reach the 95% of the world customers who live outside our borders. As a member of the President's Export Council, I've recently been focused on export control reform so companies can more easily get products to the world. What does this mean? Well, you know what it means. A lot of the bread and butter things that are on those lists probably shouldn't be on those lists. You get fighter planes, and that we have to be careful about where we send them, but sometimes there are literally nuts and bolts on those lists, and we're working to reform that. So especially our companies that do business in the area of defense, even if it's tangential, aren't going to be hurt by some of the reductions in defense spending that we're seeing. In 2011, Minnesota exports totaled $20.3 billion, a record level that was broken again in 2012. These are my top priorities for bringing our economy back to brass tacks. This is about making sure America continues to be a country that thinks and invents and makes things and exports to the rest of the world. And one more thing. If you're ever in Washington on a Thursday morning when the Senate is in session, please join our Minnesota Morning. We invite the entire state to breakfast. There's usually about 50, 100 people there. Call ahead to RSVP. I'm always there. And if you're lucky, you might visit the day we serve Spam Puffs. Thanks for all your great work and have a great time today. Learn a lot, and thanks for creating jobs in Minnesota.